Hey everyone, welcome to the final session of our marketing course for startup founders and their teams. This course was created by the Ukrainian Startup Fund and the innovative marketing agency iDealers. During previous sessions, you have already learned a lot about marketing strategies, brand building, and the fundraising strategies. Now it's time to dive into something every startup needs, the pitch deck. Super excited to have Dasha Kichuk with us today. Dasha is the CBDO at iDealers and CEO at EFA, and she's here to share her knowledge and experience on creating an investor and pitch decks. So let's give the floor to Dasha and start exploring the topic.
Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing great and you are excited and full of energy for another workshop out there. And I really hope that you will have a great time during our workshop today. So let's talk about the pitch decks, which is one of the most important tools when you are working with investors, when you're selling your product, when you're presenting your product to the audience, whatsoever. So it's one of the most important tools when you just start your startup, when you just start working on your idea. And you have to understand and you have to remember that this document will be always worked on, will be always updated. Pitch deck is not the document that you create once and use it for as long as your startup exists. No, it's a document that you work on all the time. Through the life of EFA, I think we've created thousands and thousands of those pitch decks for different needs, for different audience, with different updates, with different content. And it's a living organism out there. So stay bear with me and let's go through all of the most important points of any pitch deck that has to be there. Of course, every and each of you are individual. Every idea is individual as well. But I will go through the main do's and don'ts of the great pitch decks out there, the main purposes of the pitch deck. And maybe you'll get some advice, you'll get some good information on how to work in a pitch deck in further. So let me introduce myself first. As Yana mentioned, I'm the CBDO of iDealers and CEO of EFA. Probably most of you know me better as the CEO of EFA. I have raised over $600 for my company. I have finished the Pfeffer Global Acceleration Program in San Francisco. I have a strong network among VCs and incubators and accelerators and CVCs in European Union and United States, specifically Silicon Valley. I have done sales to such companies as Netflix and Airbnb. And I'm a mom and I'm a wife, which is another aspect of my personal life, which affects my professional life as well. A bit of words about, I'm sorry, why is it not clicking? Why are my slides are not, sorry. Do you see next slide?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, sorry for that. So a bit words about iDealers. iDealers is a creative marketing agency created by founders for founders. We have created this company with the biggest goal to help startup founders because me personally, I know the pain of scaling and I know the pain of growth and having a startup. And marketing is always really underrated by startups. We always want to work on sales, on product, on fundraising. But when it comes to your brand building and when it comes to leveraging your sales and scaling to another markets, marketing gets really, really important. So with that needs, we have created iDealers. We're working closely with a lot of startups. We are trusted partners of Ukrainian Startup Fund, of many more other accelerators, incubators, and venture capital firms. So we are welcoming every startup to work with us, and we are willing to help Ukrainian ecosystem to shine bright on a global startup ecosystem and scene. Okay, let's move forward to the pitch deck. Again, I'm starting with a question. Hopefully it will wake you up a little bit and maybe you'll be more active with all of your questions and more attentive during the workshop. Please, you are more than welcome to share your ideas on why do we actually need a pitch deck? And do we really need a pitch deck for a company or just an email would be enough? What do you think?
I think pitch deck is important because it shows to the investor, to the mentor, to the audience, what are you doing exactly, who are your competitors, and which problem you are solving.
Okay. Maybe another opinions out there? What should be there in your pitch deck? What's the most important part of your pitch deck? How do you think? Silence. Okay, so as answering this question myself, I think every slide of the pitch deck is same important as all of the other slides, because you have to be really attentive to every and each detail of your pitch deck. And of course, we need that. As I've already mentioned, it is the perfect tool to present your idea, which might be complicated, might be full of different details out there. It's really important to have your pitch deck in order to explain and show and emphasize your idea in the best way possible, in a shortest way possible. I think you've heard for 1,000 times that when you have when you have an idea of a startup, it has to be understood by your grandma or by your mom or whatever. So the pitch deck is one of the tools to explain it better and to show it in a graphic way. So there is right now, terminology has changed a bit. When we recently, a couple of years ago, we just had one term, a pitch deck. Right now, there are mainly two terms of the pitch deck. There's a pitch deck and there's an investor deck. So I will put a little bit of attention on what's the difference between pitch and investor deck. So the pitch deck is mostly used for an audience of potential customers, partners, stakeholders, also investors, but not mainly for investors. Pitch deck is normally the deck that you show on conference or on a scene presentation on more global audience out there. The main purpose of the pitch deck is to show overall vision, to show up your value proposition and market opportunities. So it's the main thing where you show your mission of your company and show the global picture and make people get in love with your company. So that's the main purpose of a pitch deck. The main content of a pitch deck is most of the time storytelling, high-level information about the problem, solution that's being offered, market sizing, competitive landscape, business model, and the team. So those are the slides that we normally show in our pitch deck. I'm sorry, who is unmuted? Could you please mute yourself? Yeah, so excuse me. Kindly ask everybody to mute themselves so you will not interrupt the workshop and everybody else out there. So yeah, the idea of a pitch deck, even if you're pitching in front of audience of investors, the main purpose of the pitch deck is to schedule your first meeting with the investor. Nobody will give you money for just a pitch deck, but your main goal is to get their attention, to get them believe in yourself as a founder and believe in your story as a founder, and schedule the first meeting with you and your team. So yeah, the main goal is the storytelling. You have to share the story of your company. I kindly ask you to mute yourself again. I'm sorry. Thank you. So about the investor decks. Investor deck is the deck which we normally send over an email to our targeted investors, or the ones that we are presenting to investors during the investor meeting. So the audience is completely different between them. Investor deck is a much deeper information about your company, about the business perspective, about financials, the team. So everything is much, much deeper than on a pitch deck. So yeah, as I've said, the audience, potential investor, venture capitalist, angel investors, or corporate investor, whatever you are talking with. The purpose is comprehensive information about the business and potential to investor, addressing specific concerns and criteria for investments. On our previous workshop, we have gone through the criteria for the investments by VCs. You have to be competitive, you have to be compelling with your story, you have to have a good financial model out there. You have to make those investors believe that you're strong enough to survive through all of those 10 years of VC's existence, and you're strong enough to make an exit. So it's not just a storytelling and making people get in love with your idea. It's telling them that you know that what you are doing, and you know how to build your financial model, and you know how to make money, and you know how to make money for them on the first place. The content of the investor deck normally contains financial projections, revenue models, market validation, competitive analysis, scalability, exit strategy, and potential risks. So again, this is the document where in the pitch deck, if we're talking about the design of both of them, so in the pitch deck, the information will be as short as possible. The slides should not contain a lot of text there, because you're presenting the pitch deck on a broader audience when you're standing on the scene out there. But when we're talking about the investor deck that you send over an email when you're doing a cold outreach to investors, or you've been connected to some VC or angel investor, there has to be a lot of words, a lot of letters, a lot of numbers. All of the things that you can put in your investor deck has to be there. But you have to be really careful with every word that you are putting in your pitch deck. And now, since we're moving forward to the contents of the pitch decks or of the investor decks, I will present you two main best practices of startup, or of pitch decks. I'm sorry. The best deck possible was designed by Sequoia, the oldest venture capital firm ever and the most successful venture capital firm ever. They have designed the best example of the best pitch deck ever, and there's a content under that. So we'll go through this. The first thing is a company purpose. There's a slide where you have to present why are you making this company, what's your goal, what's your mission, what's your global vision out there in one sentence. It has not to be a tagline. Tagline is a marketing thing out there. Company purpose has to be a mission of yourself as a founder or of your team. What are you going to create with your company? For example, with EFA, we're saying that we're going to replace most of plastic disposables with our technology. Or you're creating a unique AI tool in order to, I don't know, leverage hiring process or whatever you're creating. Another thing is the problem that you're solving. Everybody knows that. We have to emphasize the problem in order for audience to understand that we're actually working on the thing that is needed on the market. And you have to be compelling when you're saying this slide. You shouldn't say it's just like, there's a huge problem of, I don't know, plastic waste or whatsoever. Better say it with numbers. There is a problem of 8 tons of plastic waste being thrown away on a yearly basis. I'm sorry that I will always refer to EFA because I know it better and I've created those pitch decks. So refer to numbers to be more compelling for your audience, and they will know that you actually understand the product that you're working on. Then there's solution, where you present your solution. You're saying about the exact technology or the product or service that you're working on. Why now is also a very good slide, which normally is not included on pitch deck that I saw. But why now is a great slide to show that, yeah, the problem might have existed for 10 or 15 years and nobody cared about this. But suddenly the market has started developing in that way that the problem has become more and more important. And that's why you are on the right place with your product. Or there were some governmental regulations globally made your product like standing out among your competitors, for example, because of your technology, because of the materials that you're using, I don't know, whatever that you might use for your company. So it's a very important slide, and I kindly emphasize on that to include it in your pitch deck if you don't have it yet there. Another one is a market potential. All of those Tom, Sam, market potential slide. Nobody likes that. I know that startups hate to calculate all of those market projections, and they don't have a lot of understanding of global market. But the thing is that you have to carefully calculate your market potential in order for your investors to understand that you will actually make money and there is a potential on the market. Of course, they understand that you will not be the first one on the market, probably. But still, they have to understand that even if your startup will get 3% of the market share, it will be enough money for them to make ROI and to sell your company for a good money and to make money eventually after an exit or IPO. We will go through every slide later, so I will get deeper into every slide and in details. Competition or alternatives. That's the question that every startup gets. Who's your competitor? Please try not to say that you don't have any competitors, because for investors that will mean two things: or you haven't checked your market well, or you are making the product that nobody needs. Every company, every innovation startup has competitors, and you have to dig deeper and you have to understand who is your real competitor out there and show it to your investors. And on that slide, it's very good to show your defensive strategy. How are you going to fight those competitors? If they're going to copy you, if they're going to make a similar product, or they're going to get to the market faster because they have more finance, they have more credibility or whatever. It's a very good slide to show your defensive strategy and how are you going to be stronger than your competitors on the landscape. Of course, there's a business model slide where you show your business model, your B2B SaaS, your B2B enterprise, your B2C, your direct to consumer, your B2B2G, your like whatever. Name me any of your business models. And you have to be as simple, like this slide has to be stupidly simple. Even if your business model is pretty complicated, I don't believe that there are no words to explain your business model in an easy and comprehensive way. Even if you're, I don't know, you have complicated business model of working with distributors, with supplying your product to big enterprise, supplying your product then to end customer, it's easy to explain that your business model is B2B2C. That's it. So try to explain your business model as easy as possible, because if investor gets confused, he will not be interested in reading your pitch deck further or listening to you further, because they just don't understand and they will not get their attention further in that. The team slide, it's normally put at the very end of the pitch deck, and startups don't have a lot of time to present their team slide, but it's the most important slide on the pitch deck if you are fundraising or if you are an early stage company, your pre-seed, seed, or A round fundraising. The team slide will be the most important, because on those stages, investors put their money into the team, not into your product, not in your technology, not into your market, because they understand that this is the most risky period of your startup existence. And the team is the only thing that will make this rocket fly into the sky. So please be as much attentive to a team slide and put most of your attention to show your investors that you're strong enough, you have enough of experience, knowledge, education that could bring your startup to a global company. Financials, as I've mentioned before, you put financials only in your investor deck. Please don't put your financials into the pitch deck that you are presenting to a global audience. First of all, it's not the information that you have to show everyone. Second of all, it's really complicated information for audience to understand quickly and to go through your financials really quick. It's not for the global audience, it's for the investor deck for your emails. Global vision, it's a good thing to show it in the end. That's our global mission, is to change the world, as any other startup says, we're here to make this world a better place. It's always okay to show that. There is another concept of startup presenting their pitch deck. There's a Guy Kawasaki approach, 10, 20, 30 approach to the pitch deck. It's all about 10 slides, 20 minutes of presentation, not more than 20 minutes. And the fonts has to be not smaller than 30 points. So stick to this, and please try to it's for the investor presented. And they love when you save their time, you're not getting too deep into your presentation than 10 minutes, 10 slides, I'm sorry, you're presenting not over 20 minutes. Normally it's even shorter than that. And yeah, the fonts is just for them to read that quickly. Because normally investor, if you send your pitch deck over an email, investor spends around 30 seconds on each slide. So it has to be comprehensive, it has to be understandable, and it has to have a good fonts out there. And now we'll go through slide by slide. We'll go through every other slide on the pitch decks with the examples of my startup, with the examples of Airbnb, Facebook, Tinder, whatever good examples and bad examples that I found. Because an interesting thing that I found older pitch decks of Uber, YouTube, and others, and they're not that great in modern perspective of pitch decks. We'll go through this. So yeah, the first thing is the title or company purpose, or your first slide. Your first slide is the hook of the whole presentation. You have to put some interesting global major phrases about your startup. Please try to avoid marketing taglines. Be more specific in terms of your company. But yeah, it's the thing, how to get the first attention to your company. In Airbnb, it's like a book rooms with locals rather than hotels. There's another example of the Facebook, which is just the quote of the customer that loved the Facebook, of their first checking their business model, which is also great because they have gone through a lot of work on that, and they have put all of the result of their job on their first slide. A good comment of Stanford Daily about the technology that they have created. It gets attention really quickly. The next slide is the problem. Again, you have to be quick, you have to be understandable, and you have to be straight to the point when you're describing your problem. And please try to avoid words like there's a huge problem, or there is a huge market, or there's a great problem out there. Everybody knows it. For you, it's going to be huge, but you have to be comprehensive with numbers. You have to be comprehensive with the information that you're providing in your pitch deck. So there are two examples, Airbnb and Tinder, that I liked there. So for Airbnb, they have just put it in 3 bullet points, which is really understandable and quickly. Tinder have put it in fun way out there. That meet Matt spots the girl and likes party, but like most of us, Matt won't go over to say hello. That's why they have created Tinder. So it's also the thing to get people's attention when you're pitching or showing your presentation. The solution slide. On the left side of the deck, you can see YouTube's pitch deck of 2024. I think that nobody would like that. It's a very bad example of the pitch deck. Of course, it was back in 2020, back in 2004, where there were not a lot of pitch deck, not a lot of startups. Nobody invested in startups in that way that it was before. So you can see that, yeah, that was not that great about the solution. And another startup, Oomph, there's their pitch deck of 2022. Here you can see much better design. They are putting their solution into one simple sentence that everybody understands from the very beginning. It's a premium marketplace of the best mobile and web talent, where talent peaks to work. That's it. Everybody understands that. Broader audience with multiple investors will understand that, and the investors who are investing in marketplaces will get their intention there. So yeah, there's a whole difference. We've made a huge path from first pitch decks to the decks that we have at the moment. Another slide, value proposition. Again, Uber Cab, or Uber, which is known like this for now. They've made this slide pretty much complicated, too much information. There's fast and efficient on-demand car service market is described on the same slide. it's pretty complicated to understand, especially if you are pitching to the global audience. Airbnb again made a great job. Airbnb put 3 main points into their value proposition, and they made us understand really quickly what are they talking about, for whom they are creating a specific value, and what the value is. Market potential slide. I was brave enough to put FS market potential there because we worked on that a lot, especially with Fiverr Global. We've recalculated those numbers a lot. So when you're talking about the market potential of your company, the normal approach to your market potential would be TAM, SAM, and SOM approach out there. Why? Because as I've said, investors normally spend not more than 30 seconds on each slide. And there are specific templates for specific slides that are mostly understandable by investors, because they see tons and tons of presentation, and the concept of TAM, SAM, SOM gives them a picture about your market potential really quickly. They don't have to spend tons of time on reading on your text or calculating your market potential themselves. So I advise you to use this approach to calculate your market potential in the best way. So TAM, or total available market, is a total market demand for your product or service. You can get this information from specific sites. They put the information about global markets of everything that you can ever calculate, or you can calculate this market as the price of your product multiplied by the number of users of your product. SAM is a serviceable available market, which is the segment of the total market targeted by your products and services within your geographical reach. My addition would be within the next 5 years, for example. So here you can show that within the 5 years from now, you're planning to expand your company to different regions, as in my slide would show APAC, European Union, and the United States. SOM, or service obtainable market, is the portion of SAM that you can actually capture within the round that you are fundraising right now. So if you're raising, I don't know, a couple of $1 million for your seed round for the next 24 months, so please calculate the amount of market that you're going to cover within the next 24 months and be realistic with this number. That will show your investor a comprehensive picture of where are you going to move, how much money are they going to make within the next 2 years, and how much money are they going to make within the next 5 years and within the next 10 years, or when your exit happens. So that's very important slide, and please get enough time to calculate those numbers and understand where is it coming from, because you will get a lot of questions about this slide, because that's the money slide for an investor, and they have to understand when the money comes from. Another slide with the specific templates. There are 2 main approaches when we are talking about the competition slide or competitive landscape. The first one is an arrow slide where you put your competitors according to, I don't know, different criteria like pricing or time or technology development, I don't know, whatever works for your startup. So the left part will work and is highly understandable by investors. If we're talking about the pitch deck and presenting on the big stage, try to use the chart that's on the right side of the presentation. It's FS slide again, which is just a simple chart. It's really understandable and readable easily from the first seconds. And of course, here, as any other startup, you will pick up the criteria that works only for your company to show that you are best among your competitors. Everybody understands it. I've heard investors say that that's like a bullshit slide because you show only your best things there. But here you can emphasize on the most important aspects of your company. And again, as I've mentioned before, Here you can show and tell about your defensive strategy. If you have enough time for that, that's a very good spot to talk about your defensive strategy and your defensibility of your company, not just the patenting, but how are you going to move towards the market and how are you going to fight your competitors. Business model, I've already said, please be as easy and as understandable as possible. It's always easy to explain your business model in the helicopter view. If investor would like to hear more about your business model, then you can get into detail. But when you're just presenting first time, please be as easy and as comprehensive as possible and explain your business model in 2 or 3 simple sentences so everybody will understand that. And here you can also, as an example of Airbnb presentation, you can show your possible revenue with this business model as well, if it's not going to make you too complicated. Traction. Normally startups think that on the early stages, this traction is the most important slide. It is one of the most important slides out there, but all the investors understand that around 50% of your traction on the early stages, when those traction is normally LOIs or pilots or not finalized yet. So investors understand that around 50% of this slide is also bullshit. You just want to show yourself that you're growing and that you have customers. And yeah, of course, it's a good slide to make yourself proud of your company, that you have achieved a lot of things out there. So there are 2 main approaches to show your traction. The first one is the cemetery of logos. So you can put a lot of logos of the companies that you worked with. I kindly ask you not to do this horrible thing when there is thousands of logos. You can just put the main ones, the biggest contracts, for example, on this slide, and to show the main partners that you're working with. Or another approach is to show it that way, where you show this like hockey stick, as investors call it, that you are growing actively through your MRR, ARR, whatsoever. If you have an active growth in terms of your financials, it will also look just great for your investors. And the team slide. As I've said, it's the slide that's normally being neglected by startups. They leave it till the end and spend a couple of seconds. Here's our team. I'm the CEO, here's the CFO, and here's the CMO, and goodbye. And thank you for your attention. That's not okay. And what I saw among the startups that I'm working with is that they tend to show their functions in the company, which is not interesting for an investor, because investor understands that all of the core team is working on everything at once. There is not like specific organizational structure where everybody has their functions. So don't put the information that I'm the CEO and I'm responsible for fundraising, sales, and financials and strategy, for example. It's better to put your previous experience. If you are a second or third time founder, even if you didn't make any success with your previous company, it's always worth mentioning that you have already had your business and you are a second or third time founder. Especially if your previous business was in the same business industry, in the same space, it's a very good thing to show up. Show your education. Put all of the advisors, like put all of the advisory board that you had. You can put your previous investors or accelerators in the team slide as well. You can put your investors if they have a board seat in your company, then you can put there in the team slide. Also, another mistake that I saw among startups, they try to put the whole team into the team slide. That's not correct. Please in the team slide, there has to be only a C-level management of your company, or the co-founders, or only heads of departments if it's so important for you. But please don't crowd it with a lot of pictures out there. Nobody cares about them. Investors will work only with the core team. They will not work with your customer support. They will not work with your salespeople. They will work with the CEO, CTO probably, and CFO. They will not work with all other people. So that's important for them. Again, that was the last part of my presentation about the pitch deck. And again, I would like to remind you about the huge initiative created by Ukrainian Startup Fund, the Seeds of Bravery grants, is that the money for your startup that you can get for your further development is kind of a free money that are not required to give your equity for. And please apply to the Seeds of Bravery for the further development of Ukrainian startup ecosystem. And if you have any questions on applications, you can always refer to myself or to iDealers, and we will kindly help you on that, because our main goal is to develop Ukrainian ecosystem and make it as global as possible, especially during the times of venture winter when it's really hard to fundraise. So this is the opportunity for you to get a smaller checks, which will bring you to the further development in your future. Thank you so much, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions if you have any for me.
Thank you so much, Dasha. We are now moving into our Q&A session part, where you have the chance to ask Dasha anything you want. You can type your questions into the chat or just turn your mics on and address them directly. So please, let's make the most of this opportunity to learn more.
Can I ask the question?
Of course.
Sure.
Hi, Dasha. Thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I learned a lot today. And my question, can you recommend any kind of resources where we can design the very stylish presentation?
Well, you can do it yourself, or at iDealers, we're also developing the pitch deck and helping with the design of the pitch deck. So you can definitely refer to us, and we will help you with your pitch deck in terms of content and in terms of design as well. If you have resources for that, or you can check and read a lot of information and do it yourself. So whatever works for you, you can always drop me an email, and we'll think how we can help you.
Thank you, Dasha.
We have another question from the chat. Could you please advise where to find an example of good finance model, or how to better count it?
The best financial model would be P&L for any other investor. There are tons of tools on P&L calculations you can check for. There are a lot of, even there are two of Ukrainian startups making the financial models, which is Fuel Finance, and the other one is oh my God, I forgot their name. But yeah, you can definitely check them and calculate your P&L for an investor. And like, of course, when you will calculate your financial model, it will be complicated and has a lot of assumptions there. But for an investor, try to make it, again, as comprehensive and as easy as possible, and put only most important numbers there, which are going to be your EBITDA. I always have a problem with pronouncing this thing. Revenue, traction, product sold, cost for the product, and cost for the team, or operation cost. And normally, if you're raising a round, please include the data of your financial projections for the next 24 months. That's the period of time when startups normally fundraise the round 4. So investor has to see the outcome of their investment in 24 months.
Thank you, Dasha. Any more questions?
No questions. The last time there were much more questions, because I think that fundraising is much more complicated than pitch decks. But nevertheless, I kindly invite you to drop me a message, add me on LinkedIn, drop me an email. If you have any questions about the pitch decks, fundraising strategies, or any help of yours to your startup, I'm happy to help. And because I'm a huge supporter of Ukrainian startup ecosystem personally, and I would really love to help you guys, because our biggest goal is to help our country thriving and to help our country growing, and we are already showing, but to proceed showing the whole world that we are resilient, strong, and we're creating the best businesses in the whole world.
Thank you, Dasha. That's a very great and lovely moment to wrap our session up. And huge thanks to you for sharing your insight and strategies on crafting the perfect pitch deck. I hope it was inspiring for all the participants. And thank you everyone for joining us during this marketing course. We would be really grateful for your feedback. Please share it in the Google form attached to your follow-up email. Thanks again. Use the tips you've gathered to improve your startups. Keep innovating, take care, and good luck with your ventures. See you soon.